Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Welcome to We Weren't Friends in High School, the podcast where I reunite with classmates from my high school of Wissahickon High School in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm Brad Corbett, class of 2001. Full disclosure, I am fresh off of a little Hanukkah party with the family. It is Sunday night. I had a lot of pressure to come out into the city and see the miracle on 13th Street, Christmas lights. And because I'm dedicated to doing this podcast every other Monday, I couldn't do it. I had to make sure that this podcast came out. If I was a little bit more together with my shit, maybe I would have recorded this a few days ago. But I really believe in making these things as current as possible. And so here I am on a Sunday night, first night of Hanukkah. And I had a few drinks with the fam, but here I am. And this is what I want to be doing. So I hope that everyone that celebrates is enjoying their holiday season. And it's super relevant because my guest is Ryan Dunn, who happens to be both Jewish and Irish Catholic. And so the conversation that Ryan and I had is 3 hours long. I thought it would be a great idea to release this on both Hanukkah and Christmas. And so part 2 of this interview will be out on Christmas Day. Real quick, I got to thank Christian Warren for the last 2 episodes, another two-parter. I don't know if this is something that's going to keep going as far as two-parters. Some of these conversations end up being very long. I would love to hear everyone's feedback on whether you guys prefer two-parters, one really long episode, how often you like to have a two-parter come out. Part 2 is going to come out in 2 days. Is that something that you like? Just bang, bang. I'm always trying to evaluate how people are consuming the shows. I know a lot of people are gobbling these up in almost Game of Thrones style, heavy binging on Monday mornings. Some people are going on long road trips and listening to 5 or 6 episodes at a time. So however you guys are consuming them, I'm super happy. I just want to be able to provide this in the way that makes sense for the majority. So thank you to everyone that sends me feedback on an almost weekly basis. I appreciate all of the feedback. The social media is We Weren't Friends in High School on Instagram. The Twitter is WWF in High School. And I am at REDSHIRTPLAYA everywhere. So this conversation with Ryan is, I don't know, I don't want to put favoritism on anything, but this is just a really, I don't know, well-rounded conversation. I was just really happy with it. And this is a return to the sober episodes. We did this on a Saturday morning, right before I had to leave for a birthday party for one of my best friends. And so Ryan was really interested in doing this. And I caught him on a little bit of a hangover. Ironically, that's usually my role. But yeah, a nice little morning conversation with Ryan Dunn that crept into the early afternoon because it was that good. And so this is part 1. Again, part 2 will be on Christmas Day, on Wednesday. So look out for that. Okay, let's just get into it. Here's Ryan Dunn. Yeah, this is you're probably number 9 or 10 or
yeah.
At the rate, yeah. If I were to guess, this probably would air where we're in October. This might not air till December.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so a little bit of time. I mean, we'll see because I'm still I have 2 more lined up in the next week and a half through Columbus Day. So if I start getting so many that I just start feeling good, I don't want to run out and I don't want to start missing the date. To where if I start doing them every week and then I just don't have the time to do them every week, I don't want to people are used to getting them every week and then I don't even do them,
Yeah.
So I feel every 2 weeks is what I can promise and guarantee I can get to in life and schedule. So trying to stick with that. What I may do eventually is I have a couple that I'm not sure if they're good shows, if they're good long, full length interviews. So I might cut them up and do put them in 5 or 10 minute clips in between the weeks or something.
Gotcha.
I've got a thing with Kim Devaney that I did over 2 days of time. That,
oh, wow.
It's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe this won't be an episode. Maybe this will just be a 10-week series on off weeks or something.
Right. Yeah. I was like, boy, I hope I'm interesting.
We'll see. We'll make it. We're going to make it interesting.
Yeah. I kind of, anytime I thought like, oh, it's something I just want to bring up and talk about, I was like, no, let Brad like guide it. And then we'll see like what comes out.
Yeah. So. We'll just kind of,
Yep. Oh, so it should be like right.
Yeah. Kind of like right there. Yeah. Pull it up a little bit. Yep. Just like that. Perfect.
It's like the X-ray machine at the dentist.
Look right into the.
Yeah.
So this is it. This is how we start.
Yeah. All right.
Welcome, Ryan.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here.
You're one of the first, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. You're maybe the first, I don't know, kind of benign guest. I don't have any like memory of salacious rumors about you. I don't have any like negative, stereotypical impressions of this guy was an asshole or this guy was a jerk or this guy said this or this guy used to do that or this guy used to get on my, none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at you as like a nice guy.
Oh, thank you.
Until you went to Villanova.
Yeah. But and then we became mortal enemies, I know. Yeah.
Mortal big five enemies.
Literally right now you're wearing a Temple hat and I've got my Nova pullover, so we're glaring at each other. Yeah. Sorry, I have to.
So I guess my first question is, why are you against Philadelphia taxes? No.
Yeah, right.
No, it's good to see you. It's cool. Like, you know, I told you every interview is completely different. And so it's super cool to just kind of see where we jump into this. And because I think my first question is just like, how the hell are you?
I'm in maybe the best spot of my life, which is, incredible to say. There's been some rough times and right now it's really good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm married. And I love my wife. She's wonderful, Lindsay. And we have a daughter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pretty new, right?
Yeah. So Molly is about 11 and a half months old right now.
Wow.
And so her first birthday is coming up October 27th.
Oh, that's crazy.
We're having a big like Halloween. It's a boo day party, whatever. And so it's going to be like a Halloween birthday party. It's going to be incredible. And so life is good. Works fine. But I'm really grateful to be here, like in this situation right now.
That's great.
Yeah. I recently went to Tui Meyer and Ellen Opplinger's wedding, which was really awesome. Blast from the past. Got to see a lot of people. And
congratulations to those guys. They won't listen, but
yeah,
congratulations.
They'll never hear this because they don't get on Facebook maybe once every 3 years. But
I tried.
They're awful.
Believe me, I tried.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, Ellen and Tui they don't know it because they won't come on. One day I'm going to try. I got some ideas, but they're a bit of a spark. There were a few people that I ran into that were like a spark of this.
Okay.
And Ellen and Tui.
Yeah.
It was like last September. I was going to get fitted in South Philly for a tuxedo for a wedding. And I'm doing a Yui. And right there at the light, there's Ellen and Tui.
Yeah.
Right there walking to go get dinner. And I pull off to the side of the road and I was like, oh my God, guys.
Right.
And they look exactly the same.
Yeah, I know.
And
well, except Tui grew into a giant, but
Tui's huge. He is. Yeah. But in the face and everything, Ellen looks exactly the same. And I actually mentioned to them, I said, this keeps happening. I keep running into people and I go, might start a podcast.
I think that was a good idea.
And here we are.
Yeah. It's been like, well, I was telling you before this, it's really been like a Wissahickon weekend type thing. Like it's just been a lot of Wissahickon stuff lately. I just had this real random situation occur where within about 24 hours, I was contacted by you, by Pat Novak, who we figured out we'd only seen each other once in the last 11 years.
Wow.
We used to be roommates actually at a point. And then Rishi Patel, who lives up in New York. All within 24 hours of each other. So I got to hang out with those guys last night and went out in Bridget's and Ambler.
Oh, yeah. It's a nice spot.
And then we saw Joker, and we drank a lot, which is why I'm not feeling so high right now. So, and Andrew Godey was with us as well. So nice. Yeah, it was a good time. But high school reunions left and right.
Was that kind of your crew when you were growing up? Where did you start in elementary school?
I was Bluebell.
Bluebell.
Yeah. At Bluebell, I was more friends with like Matt Choi and Dan Eisen. Those are my boys back in Bluebell Elementary days.
Yeah.
And Scott Beck.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I saw Scott, I really didn't like him. Why? Because Matt Choi was like introducing me to him and saying like, oh, this is Scott. Like, he's cool. And Scott couldn't stop doing like roundhouse kicks on the park, like in the playground. Right. He's just like kicking left and right. And I was like, man, I don't know about this guy.
Kick my ass.
Yeah. He just keeps doing karate kicks and, ended up becoming one of my best friends. But
that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, first impressions are funny with that, Did
you, so obviously your friends changed in high school, but did you continue with Matt and Dan into middle school?
Yeah. I think middle school, it really did like kind of start to fray and people going in different groups. And I don't know, like, I feel like, it did get cliquish there for a little while, especially middle school. Mm-hmm. And then by like as high school went on, those walls kind of broke down a little bit. And I felt by senior year, I was friends with like a ton of kids that I hadn't been friends with the previous years.
Right.
That was my take. And then another weird Wissahickon thing is I just saw Jay So on Thursday.
Jaewon So.
Yeah. And he told me he felt the exact opposite. So he felt like the walls went up as time went on. So I guess it's just so subjective.
Yeah. Everyone's experiences are a little bit different. And maybe the crews that you're in dictate that.
Yeah.
If you maybe have it, like I had such a small group of people, and I don't think I wasn't I think I thought that other people weren't accepting to me, but I think also I wasn't accepting to bring other people into my circle back then. And so if I were to lose one of those friends from that group, that was just one less friend. I didn't pick up other friends along the way. What was did you guys have like a common bond of your friendships through high school? And as it continued to kind of increase for you, was it like you weren't I don't remember you as a sports guy.
No, it was.
I feel like you were student government. Is that right?
I wasn't in student government, but I was in a lot of like the clubs and activities. And I did play sport. I played tennis. Okay. So
that's a sport. I'm not saying that's not. I don't want anyone to think like.
Yeah, I swung a racket.
Yeah, I count it.
But so I did do tennis, but and like Bill Bishop was on there. He's one of my oldest friends.
Yeah,
might be him and Gebert are probably the single oldest friends I have, because those guys were like when I was like 3 maybe, but and 3 and 4. But so I think it was just like all the club activities and classes. I ended up doing a lot of like the AP stuff, and Rishi, Dave Majumdar, those guys were in a lot of those classes, so I was hanging out with them a lot. And Goody, Pat, and I, we just all did like clubs together. I did debate team for all 4 years.
Debate team, yeah.
So debate team, it's kind of like a sports team in the sense of like you're riding on the bus to other schools together to compete against those other kids, and you get your own, camaraderie that way. And of course, put a bunch of teenage kids like on a bus, like anywhere, it's going to be raucous and fun. And so
I always wanted to do debate because it was like one of those things that you'd see, like it would always be the classic sitcom high school episode of like debate team, and Zach would want to join the debate team so that he could get a free trip to Washington, DC.
Right. Yeah.
What kind of stuff did you like actually, what's the debate team? Like, what do you talk about? What do you debate?
They would give you a topic that was like the topic for the whole year. And so like, I think the one year was like, different types of energy. And like you would debate, like, should we do like nuclear or solar or whatever?
Really?
And then you'd have pro and con, or there was different debate formats like extemporaneous and Lincoln Douglas did like where you debate like in different styles. But we did like, I actually, of all people, I was actually partnered with Dan Eisen. So we were still friends, but just, not always hanging out as much. But we did debate and I think we were pretty good. Rishi was in it, Goody, Billy, Dave Majumdar, a lot of those guys that I was hanging out with a lot. And so you'd have to like go in and they tell you like you're pro or you're con today. And so you'd have to be like, one day you'd have to be like, wind power is the best, and here's why. And the next day, or even the next hour, you might be like, wind power sucks. Like, here's why, and it's killing all the birds or whatever you can come up with. And you'd have like, set periods of time where like you say something and then it would like I think it was like factual, and then you would like try to present facts, and then you'd come back to refute whatever the other guy said or girl.
What do you do for prep for that? Were you like a lot of time in the library?
It was like a library time, and like it was the early days of Google. So just a lot of early Googling and just trying to pull in whatever random article you could get. And then you just pull out of a box and be like, well, this article says it kills 1 million birds a minute, and you just try to.
Someone's GeoCities
website
or Angel Fire website. This looks credible.
Yeah. So that it hits it exactly its head, because I, not to throw them under the bus here, but I definitely remember, I won't say any names, but I definitely remember someone for the team manipulating the early internet and making their own website to say whatever they wanted, and they made it look like an MSNBC or whatever equivalent back then, and it was like a website, and you'd print out the articles so it looked legit. And I remember they whipped it out. I was watching the debate, and it like flummoxed the other team. Like they had nothing to counter this fake article. They couldn't prove anything about it. It was like, it was still pretty early internet, right? So like, what are you going to do? And, but yeah, I mean, we were a good debate team too. Like, we ended up, I'm trying to remember what year it was, like 10th or 11th grade. I can't remember now, but we ended up, doing really well. We went to like Council Rock for like the regional, like the whatever Freedom Division or whatever division we were in, and we ended up taking 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Wow.
Right, our teams out of like all the teams. I don't even know what that would be. 20 plus teams or more from all the schools.
You played all like you played.
Yeah.
You competed against the other like local teams like Upper Dublin, Upper Horsham, like the football teams and basketball teams would have.
It would imagine like a big tournament where all the teams send like multiple,
or like
all
a
the schools send multiple teams. Yeah, exactly.
Like a wrestling tournament. Everyone's there in the gym.
Yeah. And so like out of all these kids, we rocked 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And Dan and I came in 4th in that group. And then we got rowdy, which you wouldn't think, because, again, it's debate, but like the school that got first, like they were like, there was like a conflict of interest. Like one of the judges was from their school, and we were like, that's cheating, right? And we started like as a team like booing during like the medal ceremony, and like Wissahickon was going to get like banned from going like the next year because we were such assholes,
poor
frankly.
Sports.
Yeah, we were poor sports, but like we just felt like, how could we get 2nd, 3rd, and 4th? And you're saying this one team is better than everybody. And I remember it's kind of funny to think about it like a sport, but that's kind of what it was. We got like real intense and mad. Yeah.
Was there like a prize at the end, or is there like a winning thing?
It's like trophies.
It was trophies.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Little League or something.
Yeah.
You got a little trophy. Yeah.
Was there like was there like an end goal to it? Was there, in my head, like when I hear debate team, or when people would say you should be on debate team, it's because I was argumentative,
right?
Like a lawyer,
right? Yeah.
Right. I like to argue my point. Was that like the end goal? Was that something that they were talking about? Were the people running debate team and the advisors, were they like encouraging of this could be something that you could do? Because obviously it had an impact on you in some way.
Yeah, it did. I did end up becoming a lawyer. And so did Billy, but, and so did Dave Majumdar. So yeah. But I think really it was just about the enjoyment of like your craft, like in the same way, like if it was with tennis, like you're just trying to get better at it. So, the coaches, the teachers, they would just try to help you craft like your arguments and help you, here's how you can refute this, and here's a better tactic or whatever to do in the situation. But honestly, like way more important was just the fun. Yeah. Just like just hanging out with those guys, because once your like debate is done or whatever, now you're like hanging out with your friends for the next hour and a half or whatever until this thing's over, and maybe you're rooting for them to win, but then you're just hanging out. So it's just a lot of hanging out with your buddies, and that's, I think, what I like the best about it. Yeah. But so there wasn't necessarily like the end goal really of like, oh, we have to like win the big game, but there was a tournaments, and you did get trophies at the end.
Trophy goes to the school. Sits in like the trophy case type of thing.
I think that Dan and I had an awkward conversation where he was like, oh, you can have it, and he was like, no, you can have it, and I was like, yeah, okay, and and I think I have it somewhere.
You still have it?
Yeah,
That's
I'm sure. Awesome. Yeah, it's in a box somewhere.
So
not
great.
being appreciated. But yeah. I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Was that your? So you did that in tennis? Were those your only?
we probably have to whip out the yearbook here to run through my activities. But
so you had a lot of activities.
Yeah, I did do a lot of like the clubs and stuff. I also worked after school too. So,
what'd you do?
So do you remember like Center Square Shopping Center?
Yep.
It was like
Palermo's,
Clemens. Yeah,
Palermo's,
that's right.
Clover.
Yep. All that. So like there was like a period of time where so many of our friends, like so many people from Wissahickon were working in that shopping center. And so I worked at the dry cleaners there. I worked at Clemens Cleaners.
Wow.
And like Godey worked in the Clemens supermarket. Like I'm just trying to think. Like there was like this girl Rachel we knew. She worked at like Subway in there, and like we had friends at like the PetSmart that was in there, or whatever.
Right.
And like
because it was like a supermarket, but like the walk-in was like a mall.
Yeah,
like there was a liquor store to the right.
Yeah, and there was an LA Pizza in the back, and so like next thing you know, like even like Rodrigo worked there as like the cart guy for a while, right?
Garcia.
Yeah. Ro was one of my other good friends in high school. So having like all my buddies, you know, maybe one night we have debate, and then the next night we're all working over at the shopping center, and then we can go get pizza over there or whatever and hang out. So that kept me pretty busy, you know, between all those activities. Yeah.
I pulled up your activities here.
Yeah.
What is the Interact Club? I've always wondered this. You're in the Interact Club. What is this?
Try to remember.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
I think it might have been this, but I definitely did a club where we interacted with kids from schools in Philly and did activities with them. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
That sounds right. Okay.
I'm trying to remember which school. I think it was Simon Gratz.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, we would go there.
Yeah. Home of Rasheed Wallace.
That's right. Yeah. Incredible basketball player. Yeah. So we would meet. God, I'm like, my memory's killing me on this, but I think we would they would sometimes come to WIS, or we would go down there, but also we would like meet places and do like community activities together and whatever. That's cool. And you're supposed to like, you know, culturally it's pretty different. So we would like learn from each other. Yeah. They were nice
Did
people.
You learn anything, or
I learned
was it so minimal it didn't really?
No, I mean, I guess I got like a peek into what they deal with like at school, you know. I mean, like you know, the word privilege, right? Like that's a big thing nowadays, but we did not have the issues that they had. Like you could just go to class and be a student, and you didn't have to deal with a lot of the crap they had to deal with. Just especially a lot of violence. And when we were there, you know, a bunch of probably like white and Asian kids walking around, they really kept the place on lockdown. There'd just be a lot of big guys in the hallway, just there, just to make sure everything was okay. And the kids would talk about, or the other students would talk from Simon, they would talk about just the challenges of like, even like culturally, like they would be given so much shit for doing well. And like being in like the equivalent of like their enrichment club was like
nerdy, not cool.
It was like a black mark on them. And it hurt them.
Yeah.
And they talked about how tough that was, because you're like, you want to succeed, but like the whole culture around you, this is what they were telling us, but like the culture around them was like giving them a hard time about it. And they had to go into special classrooms and things. And so, yeah, it was eye-opening. At least you know what's so bad for them.
I don't think that's so. I mean, it's not like that everywhere, but I definitely think there were parts of Wissahickon that were like that, where I grew up in South Ambler.
Oh yeah.
I think I used it as an excuse, but I definitely felt like, you know, doing well in school when I was young was like a very uncool thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think my parents were, when I was younger, were pretty strict with me with school, but you know, you learn tricks of the trade, and you learn how to say that you did your homework at school already, and you don't need to bring anything home. And, But I used to do stuff like that because in my head it wasn't cool, and this might not have even happened from anyone saying anything. I might have just gotten it from TV.
Yeah.
You know, when you go like
Zach Morris.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh, what are you, a nerd, or would you read in books, or you'd see like those episodes where the cool kid's carrying his books in the pizza box because he doesn't want anyone to know that he's studying tonight. Or you know, I was very much in that mindset.
Sure.
So it's interesting that's what you were experiencing.
I think the lesson I learned from a lot of it is that like your peers matter a lot. Like as far as, at least for me, like as far as motivation, like I think about how if you didn't do well, like forget your parents, like you know, if I didn't do well on a test, and Rishi'd be like, "What's wrong with you, man?
Right.
Why didn't you do better on that?" And like, it's like peer pressure to perform, and that's good, you know, because kids respond to their peers the most. And so I got lucky with my group of friends.
You know, that's something that I think in my later years after college, I really, really embraced. So it's interesting that you recognized and you were drawn to that sort of, or you're just in it, and that's what your friends
I think I
were.
just got lucky.
Yeah. I often say that I need to surround myself more with people who are successful, or I need to make it more of a push to hang out with those friends that are successful and just get little tidbits of knowledge from them, or just get that incentive or that
it's the incentive.
Yeah.
It's
say,
like,
oh, wow, I can go here. That's cool. You had that academically as a kid.
Yeah. And also, well, I mentioned Rish, like he grew up right down the street from me. And so we were always at each other's house, always after school, like doing homework and stuff, like unless I had some activity. But like a lot of the time, we were taking we took like AP Euro with Mrs. Linden in 10th grade. And that's a class that was all seniors. And I'm in 10th grade with Rishi and Dave, and we're in that class. And so, yeah, we ended up I'd go over there and we'd play like StarCraft or something, play a video game, but we'd also seriously work our asses off doing like flashcards and stuff. And I guess that's just really lucky that I lucked into that, because there's no way I think I would have done well in a class like that if I didn't have somebody pushing me, you know, just because he just wanted to do well for himself, I think. So,
and that's such a great skill set to learn when you're that young, so that when you are in college, you know, especially when I imagine, you know, you're in law school, you're handling a pretty heavy load, to have the skill set to know how to actually study.
Yeah.
And retain that information in a way that works for you. For me, I don't think I learned that until after college. I think I BS'd my way through a lot of my academic classes. I got it, but I was a very last minute guy. I absorb things much better verbally than I would reading or taking notes. I get lost when I'm looking down and I'm taking notes. And I think I almost wish now I could go back and learn some stuff, because I think I would retain it so much better than at that age.
Yeah.
Did you like that? I mean, you were in AP classes. You're learning completely different shit than what everyone else or 90% of the school is.
I did like it. Everybody's got a thing that they're good at or they're into, and I was not great at math. I wasn't great at science. But the one area I really enjoyed was any kind of social studies related topic. So a history class or politics or anything like that. That stuff I liked naturally. Yeah. And so AP Euro history was hard, but it was fine. I was into it anyway.
Where did that come from? Was your family like that? Or as far as, so I'm very into politics, and I can remember so clearly, I can say so clearly, but now I'm going to struggle with the year. I want to say it was either 6th or 8th grade. It was 1990. It was the 96 election. I remember having to do
Clinton,
reports,
Dole.
Clinton, Dole, and Ross Perot, and having to, get on the internet and look at their websites and learn about their positions. And so my uncle, continues to write and teach now at UVA, but public policy, political science. He was at Brandeis prior to that. Wow. So growing up, politics was something I always knew my uncle was into. So it was something I kind of wanted to be into. But it wasn't pushed heavy at home. My mom's not a very political person. She listens to whatever I say now. Right. But were your parents into history, politics?
I don't necessarily think that it was my parents talking to me about politics, but instead, I think what got me started on the social studies path was very early on. My mom got me a world encyclopedia for kids, and it was filled with these illustrations, like cartoons. So as a little guy, it's like reading a cartoon, but it's teaching you here's a page about the ancient Egyptians, and you get all this facts about them, and here's the Romans, and you get all their facts, and here's Middle Ages or whatever. And I'm just, from my point of view, it was my favorite comic book type thing. Right. But really, I learned all this stuff. And then I remember being in a social studies class in elementary school and already knowing the answer because I'd already read it like just for fun as a cartoon, you know, or whatever. So, and then I remember the first time other kids were like, how do you know that? Like the Nile River, how do you know that? I'm like, does everybody like know about the Nile River, you know, or whatever? Like, and so I think that's kind of where it came from. And then my mom, of course, did talk to me, you know, about politics, more so. My dad's not really too into politics. My mom does enjoy a good debate. And, so yeah, she was she's you know, pushed me hard to succeed. And that was also the other influence that kept pushing me to go into law school. You know, my dad is Catholic and my mom's Jewish. And so I got a lot of the Jewish, you know, guilt, like you have to succeed and
gotta make
push.
Mom happy.
Yeah, gotta make mom happy. So definitely that played a role for sure. And then just naturally, I just liked social stuff. You know, everybody likes something naturally. And that was what I was kind of into. So, yeah.
Last club I want to ask you about.
Oh, yeah.
The Foreign Exchange Club.
Oh, God. If I can, I think I did that like 1 year.
1 year.
Ugh. God, I think that might have been run by, was that being run by Harvey Sensei?
Oh, could have been.
And I think that's why.
So you took Japanese?
I did, yeah.
Wow, so that's another one. Mike took Japanese. I took Japanese.
I know. I was thinking about that after listening to that. I was like, you should rename your podcast. We weren't friends in high school, but we were in Japanese class.
We did eat wasabi together.
Yeah, right, yeah. There was a rice cooker in the classroom.
Yes. Let me ask you this. I already asked you a question. I already cut you off from it, but let me just ask you further then.
Yeah.
When you took Japanese, not every, so I think it's very rare. People who are listening to this that didn't go to Wissahickon might go, Japanese.
Yeah.
We had Japanese through middle school and through high school and also Latin. You took AP classes in general. I remember when we moved to high school and Japanese was an honors only class. And I struggled.
I wasn't good at it either.
You weren't either?
No.
Okay.
I struggled too. I had to work really hard just to get like B's and sometimes C's, but it was not easy. A language is definitely is as much as I liked social studies is how terrible I was at language comprehension, like just learning anything. I remember in 6th grade, you do like marking periods, which is like a quarter. And so in 6th grade, to figure out what language you're going to go in, you get a sample of each one, right?
A few months with each language.
Right. And
then you have to pick at the end of the year.
I feel like I was the only person in the whole school that got like a B in Spanish because everyone was doing like A's in introductory Spanish.
Yeah.
How could you not? And
I got a B too.
Oh, my man. Yeah. All right. And then of course we go into Japanese, the freaking hardest language. Like,
I got a B in Japanese. I thought I understood it the most.
Yeah. So I name drop here, but in 6th grade, I was as much as you can say this, I was dating Malik Carr.
Yeah.
And and her mom in 5th grade did like an after school Japanese thing. And I had a crush on her in 5th grade. So my mom
that's the way
took me to that. Yeah. So
smart. Very smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we did after school Japanese, and then I got an A in Japanese in the 6th grade marking period. And then I was thinking about like German or something like that, but then like Malik was going to Japanese, so I got to go to Japanese. Yeah. And then that just started me down that path. But like, yeah, I wasn't good enough, like really. And I remember by senior year, I think senior year it became an AP class. Like senior year Japanese was like Japanese 5 or whatever. You had to take it as AP, and I knew that I wouldn't do well in that AP course, so I ended up not taking Japanese.
Okay. Did you switch or just no language after that?
No, I think I did no language.
You were done after that. Like you had to just clear like 2 years.
Yeah, I think they counted our middle school years as like a credit.
Okay.
Right. So like I think that you need like 4 credits of language or whatever, and by taking the same language in middle school, that counted as 1.
Right.
And then you only needed 3 more years in high school.
I think that's the only class I ever failed in my life. I think I failed honors Japanese in 9th grade, and I switched after that to Spanish.
Yeah.
And
how'd you do there?
I cheated my way through it. So you know how like remember those desks, those black desks?
Okay.
They were like the science lab desks. probably made out of like asbestos.
Right. Yeah.
So I used to, when we'd have our
asbestos
quizzes,
and mercury.
Yeah. So when we'd have our tests, our quizzes or whatever, I'd come in and I would write, when you write on those black desks, it would just come off of kind of silver. So I would just write all the translations on the desk. And then I just put my hand before it would start. And then I put my hand over, put the book down, and the test comes out. And now I'm just literally just lining up one by one. Oh, this word means this. This word means this. This word means this. That's this word.
Right.
And then when it all be done, I'd just erase the table.
Yeah.
And it would just look like a big gray smudge that anyone could have left. And that's how I made it through Spanish class.
Nice. Yeah. I probably needed that for Japanese, man. It was so hard.
It was so hard, but it would have taken you forever just to write those words.
I know.
There's different characters, different letters.
I'd ironically pass the test by attempting to cheat, I guess. But it was just too much. And like earlier in life, like when I went to Hebrew school, so I had like some minimal Hebrew in there, and then I'm trying to learn Japanese with its own characters. My brain just couldn't handle all that stuff.
It's a lot. That's why I say I feel like I would do so much better in school now than then. I couldn't figure out how to retain that information.
Isn't it crazy how much like high school kids do? Like I don't work as hard as I did in high school. Yeah. Like you go to a place all day and then you come home, you got to do more work. And you got to do activities.
Well, the idea of like staying awake as long, like if, our school started at like 7:42 in the morning or whatever. So
first bell and second bell.
Yeah. And I was always the last one into school. I was so late into school. My mom used to drop me off. And I would like wake up at like 7:20, roll into school. And then for most of my school years, I had musicals and stuff. And so after school, I'd be there till 5, 6 o'clock till my mom picked me up and we were done rehearsals, 7, then eat dinner. And then I don't even know when I did actual schoolwork, if I even did it. But then I was like an insomniac,
right?
Or I would sit on the internet all day. I had like an internet job, and like I worked at Wawa,
right?
Or then I would just stay up all night and watch Conan O'Brien reruns. I'd watch the 12:30 play, and then I'd watch after the rerun of the Tonight Show. I'd watch like the 2:30 rerun of
torturing yourself.
And then like 3:30 fall asleep, and then back in the next day. And I don't remember like really being tired or out of it, or
the high school younger body can handle
once a month energy. I was up and made it through.
Unbelievable. I just think back like, wow, that was so you made a comment earlier about like preparing for law school, like kind of thing. I felt like high school actually was at like this higher level, and then college was like a step back. Like I did well in college. You were
taking AP classes.
Yeah, right.
You were already taking college level classes in high school, and then you're taking classes in college for people who are just getting to that level.
Right. And college was like, just not that hard. And I did well, but like it wasn't like the rigorous and like the same kind of like group of friends that are like pushing me left and right. I mean, wonderful friends, but not like the high school crew of like homework and everything. Mm-hmm. So then I went to law school, and it was back to like super hard level again. Mm-hmm. And I was like not quite prepared right at the first jump, because I had just been like lazy through college. Yeah. And college is like kind of a party. So and then you get to law school and it's not a party. Yeah. So
it's real deal.
It's real deal.
And you're like trying cases and stuff when you're in law school, aren't you? Like,
no, not really, like, certainly in first year or whatever.
Right. But
later on you can do like trial practice. You're not like you could be doing
mock trials. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we did mock trials, and trial practice was the class. And
see, that type of stuff sounds so fun to me. That's the type of stuff that I would love to be a lawyer for. Like,
there is like a common, I really feel like that it's a common misperception though, because people do think that it's just arguing and that you can like win your argument through your like the persuasion of like your words,
right?
And like that is not.
You've got to find the law that supports it.
It's so much like paperwork,
an
unbelievable amount of research to find the citations you need, and to craft your arguments, and it's not what people think in the popular culture. And that's also was like a rude awakening for me, who just thought, I'll just go in there and argue, whatever. And then like, nope,
I'll be the loudest, I'll be the fastest talker, I'll just shut this thing down and win.
And every kid in there was like, unbelievably smart.
Yeah.
And in no way did you don't stand out anymore at all. Like you're like
pond is
you're
big.
Immediately average, right? And like at best,
and all the fish are too.
Yeah, exactly. And that was another thing where I was like, some of these kids, I mean, they all, many of them went to Ivy League, whatever. And so they were smart kids. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy law school.
Really?
Yeah, it was a pretty rough time.
Well, I watched Suits, so I know exactly how law works.
Yeah, you do. That and the Law and Order, and they should have it all. Yeah, Meghan Markle. Yeah, dude.
That's how all law school works, right?
What a joke. Yeah, isn't that like the concept? Like he didn't go to law school, but he's like faking his way through or whatever.
Yeah, he used to take the LSATs for other people because he has a photographic memory. Yeah. And so he can pass the test. He just never did it for himself.
The LSATs isn't the problem. The problem is the bar, man. The bar was hard. Yeah. I passed the bar by 1 point.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I guess technically, if I had 1 point lower, that was the passing grade. Right. And I think it was like I had like a 176 and you need like a 175 to pass. It was like the hardest. I studied for months and months.
Yeah.
And I think about that all the time. Like if I really focus and study and like I should be able to do almost anything, and it took every ounce of energy to pass this test. Every day was like I'd go to work in the morning, and then I would at the law firm, and then I would go to class, like bar prep class every night down at Penn.
Wow.
And then you would drive home, or I would drive home, and then I would start like practice tests and studying at home.
Jeez.
So like the really long, hard days for whatever 2 or 3 months straight, just to pass one test.
Yeah. But it's for the rest of your life.
It is, yeah. But it's holy moly. And maybe other people, like some other people might be listening, like, I thought it was easy, but I just thought it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think that's kind of like passing the bar is like the thing you hear from lawyers. Like, got to pass the bar, got to study for the bar exam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the kind of the hard part. The part I did worse on was they give you multiple choice, and 2 of the answers of the 4 are right. You have to pick the more right one.
Wow.
That's the kind of level of bullshit you're dealing with. So even if you memorize the rule, like, did you remember all the exceptions? Because maybe D has like that exception in it and you just didn't remember. And so you're like, oh, this is the rule C. Yeah. And then no, it was D, was the more right answer.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like really frustrating. I did practice tests every night, and I did not find myself improving over time. And I was like, oh, this is going to be by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
And it was, but yeah.
You mentioned earlier Hebrew school.
Yeah.
And so that's a nice little trend where I'm just finding all the Jews that I missed hanging out with.
Yeah.
In school.
Yeah.
And there you were, Ryan.
I was there.
Just hanging out. Did you know I was Jewish?
I don't think I knew when we were in high school.
Yeah.
I think I saw it like later in life, like probably through Facebook.
Yeah. Happy New Year's and
you were eating apples and honey in a picture. And I knew it. No, I think I found out later, and then it's weird. I mean, I have listened to your interview with Eric Coxon, and Eric and I went to that same Hebrew school, the classes at Germantown Academy.
Yeah.
And so I knew him from back then.
Yeah.
And it was just part of my life. And one thing I was thinking about is like, you guys being, African American and white and like Jewish, obviously that's got to be a trip. Like that's such culture clash, all wrapped up in one thing. But I was Irish Catholic. I look Irish Catholic and friggin' blonde hair and blue eyes. My last name's Dunn. My name's Ryan Dunn, right? Right? So like, and but like I was raised Jewish. So my mom's Jewish, and my sister and I were raised Jewish. I had bar mitzvah.
That's how it works in Jewish law. If your mother's Jewish, you're Jewish.
That's right.
That's what I would always, people would go, you're not Jewish, you're half Jewish. And I said, there's no such thing as a half Jewish.
Oh, yeah.
If your mom's Jewish, you're Jewish.
Yeah. Several of my friends like to this day call me a half Jew.
Yeah.
And but you're whatever your mom is. That's it. Fully. And but there is still real life, like the things you do with your family.
Mm-hmm.
So even if like you're like, oh no, I'm just Jewish, like we were like such a small percentage of the family. Like my dad is speaking Irish, my dad was one of 14 kids, right?
Wow.
So I have like 40 cousins on my dad's side of the family.
Jeez. So you can't skip those holidays.
Yeah.
That's
So guess what? Yeah, Easter and Christmas, like my grandparents was like a big to do.
Yeah.
And so I definitely felt like it was weird. It was weird. Like I definitely was completely surrounded in everyday life by Christians. But like me, my mom, and my sister, this little tiny pocket of Jews, in this world, a greater world of all Christians. And so I got to walk in both worlds, I guess. And of course I had some Jewish friends. But it was different.
How did your mom fit it in to your family life? Like did your dad celebrate with you? Was it like?
He tried. Yeah. He, like you say, like, Baruch atah Adonai, my dad will be like, Baruch atah, I'm annoyed or whatever, like,
wow, that's so funny. My dad used to be
silly about it. Yeah.
My dad used to just like gargle it up behind us. Too.
Yeah. Right.
And we would just go like, oh God.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so funny.
That's kind of similar dad joke there. Yeah. So like he would be like, just like do whatever,
for kids, like, gifts are so huge, which is why Hanukkah is like a thing here in the United States. Right. But was that, did you do gifts for Hanukkah and Christmas? You got both. Did you get 8 days of gifts?
It shifted different years. I think some years we tried to do, 8 days, and, other times we just would do like, here's one big gift for Hanukkah, and then here's some small gifts for Christmas. You know what I mean? Like it really was fluid, but, everyone is shocked. Like when I would say that too, they'd be like, you got to get 8 days of presents, right? And I'm like, well, not always. Like sometimes some of them would be saved for Christmas. And so you only got like 2 gifts on Hanukkah or whatever. It was just a fluid, like family situation. Like you have to kind of just, like I said, real life, you just go with whatever the real life situation is. I remember I got a boombox for I was in 6th grade, and that was my big Hanukkah gift that year.
That's hot.
Yeah. That's when I started listening to CDs and all that.
What was your first CD?
Oh, was it Dave Matthews Band? I think it was one of the Dave Matthews Band records. Yeah. A little DMB, something like that, I think. I remember Matt Choi kind of got me. So like my music tastes up through elementary school was very like whatever my mom would play on the radio.
Yep.
Like Beatles, stuff like that. And then Matt Choi was like, he had an older sister. So he had like a view. So we were about to go to middle school. He's like, whoa. He's like, you got to start listening to Y100, man. He's like, this is where like my sister, this is what the kids listen to, like that are older than us. And so I started listening to like all alternative music, and like having that boombox was great or stereo, because then I could just like actually start learning about music and the greater world. Yeah. On my own, and just like put that on at night. It became a huge Flyers fan from it, because my parents, when we were young, did not have cable, and I couldn't watch a lot of like Flyers and Sixers games. So I would put that game on the stereo, and I'd go to sleep at night, just listening to the Flyers, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It was some great memories. Just, yeah.
We're, and full disclosure, we're in the Italian market. So there's like car alarms going off. You might be the first like daytime Italian market interview, which is all good. Okay. I love the ambiance.
It's hopping down there. Yeah, pulling up. Yeah. I really don't have a lot of experience with the Italian market, but I went to a summer camp almost every year in Bluebell, Sesame Rockwood. And
you went to Sesame Day Camp?
I did, yeah.
They had they had like the Nintendos.
They did. We had like a computer lab, whatever.
Yes, I think I wanted to go. They might have been too expensive, but I remember, I'll have to ask my mom what happened to that camp, but I remember looking at that, and I ended up going to Country Day Camp instead at Mermaid Lake.
Yeah. Well, so Mermaid Lake was right outside of my neighborhood. Like I drive by that all the time. Yeah. Oh God, why was I bringing up?
You said Italian market.
Oh, Italian market. One time we took a field trip through camp to the Italian market, and it was like, I was 12. So just picture a bunch of like little asshole 12-year-old kid, like boys, let loose in the Italian market to do whatever the hell we wanted. well, needless to say, one kid bought a chicken and brought it back on the bus
Yeah.
and snuck it back on the bus. And he got discovered when we got back to camp. But like for the bus ride, we were like, oh my God, there's a chicken in here, you know? Like, yeah, I guess I hadn't really been around here much beyond that.
Come down again sometime.
Yeah,
it's fun down here, man.
Yeah, it seems fun. A lot of activity. Yeah, man. So camp was expensive. And my mom ended up working at the camp in order to so she was a nursery school teacher. So she had off in the summers. And so she worked at the camp to put me and my sister in, through camp.
That's
and
smart.
so that's a wonderful thing that she did for both of us. And that of course exposed us to like, here's how you swim, here's, and playing a lot of basketball and baseball and stuff and doing like computer activities, whatever. And like whatever they had to offer. So I'm eternally grateful that she did that.
You mentioned computers. I know you're in computer club. Your crew, I feel like, were you like Rishi and Dave, and I'm going to throw like a Joe Conlon in that group. I remember, computers, internet, building websites and graphing calculators were like the big thing. Were you a big graphing calculator guy? TI 83 plus?
Yeah, I did get into it for a while there. I remember that someone made a video game that would go on there that was like a drug dealing game.
Yeah.
And you'd like have to sell drugs.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it was like Weed Seller or something.
Right. Yeah. And it was just like a dumb game where like I think it like rolled the dice and like if you hit on something, it'd be like, you made $8,000 on this deal or whatever,
Yes.
And I remember being like really into playing those games on that because teachers couldn't tell that you were playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
You just had your calculator out.
Right.
Yeah. Didn't look like anything.
Yeah.
But you were meanwhile just fake selling drugs or whatever and like playing, whatever on there. And I guess like precursor to whatever kids are doing nowadays on like their iPhones and all that. But
role playing games, and,
right. But I definitely was into the TI-83 stuff. I wasn't like, I couldn't tear down a computer and rebuild it or anything like that. Computer club was us playing like Quake for 1 year.
Okay.
And then that was why I did that.
Okay.
And then, or Doom, and that was it. That was computer club.
Okay.
But yeah, I wish I was more computer savvy. It'd be come in handy at work now for sure. I say like, oh, I'm good at Excel, but like, dude, the kids coming out of college nowadays, they are on another level with Excel and all that stuff.
I had no idea. I thought I was pretty good at Excel. Yeah. And then I saw like a Facebook post by Ashley McLaughlin where I think she's been taking some classes and she was posting something like, does anyone know about this? And I looked at this and I went, what? Because I thought like knowing Excel really was just like, this cell equals the sum of this through this, or this cell times this, and then divided by that. Like I can balance a checkbook on Excel. Right. Like that's the extent.
That is exactly what I also felt. And then, and like my work, I would focus so much more on like the contracts and like the, rules and regulations, whatever. But then these kids would come along and they'd be like running everything through these like crazy Excel formulas and pivoting out data and VLOOKUPs and all these words. And I'm like, what? And then they're like, here, I just found like this amazing $3 million mistake, or, and it's like, because they ran the numbers in a way that I couldn't even like comprehend.
Yeah.
And so I've had to like learn. I'm better at Excel now than just a simple sum, but I'm not anywhere on the level of these dudes who like have hotkeys for like every single thing. It's crazy.
It's a whole new world of Microsoft.
I know. I think about that like with like my daughter. Like I don't even know what the skill set will be for her when she's gets older. I don't even know what to say. Like today it's Excel, but who the hell knows? It could be like 3D holograms or whatever. Like who knows?
It's like the same for me with film. When I came up in high school, TV lab, and we had VHS cameras. And then when I went to Monco and got my associates, and we had mini DV tapes.
Oh, okay.
And then we had I got to college and it was still more of the same mini DV tapes, and you would put those little tiny tapes into like a recorder, and then you digitize it, and then you have it on the computer on your hard drive.
Okay.
And then I went to started writing TV for a little bit up in Connecticut. And when I came back and I started getting back into like the freelance world, videography and editing.
Yeah.
And then I learned that cameras are now have chips in them.
Right.
Like they just use SD, like this
SD
recorder
card.
does, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just use SD cards and DSLRs. And those weren't things when I was in college.
Right. So like all that knowledge that you like accumulated and
dude,
then
I shot my senior thesis on Super 16 film,
right?
Like actual film. I got it processed at NFL Films. I went to modern video for like film processing, color correction and all that.
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, we're doing this on this little tiny disc. You just pop it into the computer and you can just do all the color correction. And I'm like, what? Like my professional career has basically been trying to catch up and learn.
Right. Whatever the newest thing is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess that's kind of how it is going to always be too. Like
because when we started, you said you were talking about like Google. That wasn't Google. You were not using Google back then. You were using like Yahoo. Or Alta Vista or Lycos maybe or Netscape.
I think like senior year, Rishi goes, don't use Yahoo. use this new thing called Google.
Yeah.
It gets better results. And that was like senior year. And I remember hearing that. But even Google itself didn't get big. Google probably owes that. What's that movie? Like not 40-Year-Old Virgin, but I remember it was the first time I'd ever heard like Seth Rogen was in it. Yeah, Knocked Up. That was the first time I heard people saying like, I Googled it. Yeah, as a verb. Right.
It was a joke. Yeah. I remember it was like a joke to say, I Google, oh, right, you Google it, because people were just Googling everything. And especially with the cell phone, I wasn't as quick on the cell phone game for like using it for the internet, because I had a laptop and I would just come home and do stuff on the laptop. You know, when I'm in front of the TV, I didn't use my phone for internet type of stuff. But yeah, it was, you know, people who are in school now or a bunch of years younger than us that listen to this, like it was, man, I remember when we got the first in middle school, when we got like CD-ROM computers. I remember Shady Grove got a CD-ROM computer, and the idea of like turning on a computer where you don't have to put in a floppy disk and put in like a 40.
Yeah, you don't start up with DOS or whatever.
Code and you just like, oh no, there's a game just sitting on here, or you can put this CD in and pull up an encyclopedia.
I know.
I always tell people, man, we used to sit in Mr. Winokur's class in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And we would just stare at the encyclopedia that it was like a multimedia encyclopedia.
Grolier's or something.
Yeah, Grolier's encyclopedia. That sounds right. And we would just always type up Madonna.
Right.
And we would just look
at there be a good picture?
Yeah, it would be her in like in a cone.
In the cones.
Yeah. And that was like what was known about Madonna.
Right.
And there weren't like 2 pictures of Madonna, because it wasn't connected to the internet. It was a preloaded encyclopedia.
Yep.
And that's just all we
That's it. That's all we
would
had.
do. And that's I remember like bibliographies and trying to learn how to like do a bibliography with a web page and all that. And
I remember that was like a tough lesson. Like, and I think we took classes in like the library. They taught us bibliographies, like how to do the internet for a site. Yeah, that was
that stuff was all new to us. Downloading would take, you know, a day.
We were definitely like the first like real computer generation for sure. But like what makes me sad is that doesn't seem to be giving us a leg up, because like these new kids are like destroying us. But like I do have a funny early internet story. My dad's the first computer we had was definitely a MS-DOS. Like you had to like punch in commands with like a hard disk in there, and he got it for work. And I guess he could like, I'm trying to think what he could even do with this whole thing back then. It certainly wasn't Windows. I guess he would like type up like word processing.
Perfect.
Yeah, something
Word
like
perfect.
that. It wasn't even Word, but you know, it didn't run on any Windows thing at all. I don't even know the brand at all. We would probably not recognize it, but he could type like some reports, and then it had early internet, like it had a modem and not 56K, like whatever, like something
28,
probably
14.4,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah, something slower than 14.4 probably. And he I guess could send the reports into work. I don't know, right? And when he would do that, it had to go through our phone line, right? Because you just have one phone line back then, maybe 2. And so my mom would tell us that the computer had to talk to the computer at work. Dad's computer needs to talk right now on the phone. You have to be quiet, right? She'd tell us we have to be quiet, or the phone connection would get messed up, and you know, like the phone or the computer would hear us, and it would mess up the conversation between the computers. And like I didn't realize that was like a fake thing until I was like 25. And I thought back to like that memory, and I was just like, hey, you know, like, what?
You're 22 having quiet time in college.
Right,
Your roommate's like, the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Hey guys, can you please be quiet?
Talking to the computer back at school.
Right. I need to talk to Google.
You're going to mess it up.
Yeah. My computer needs to talk to Google. Please calm down.
God.
Yeah. So yeah.
I love
Brilliant by my
old
mom.
Internet computer stories.
Mhm.
That the transformation that we've seen.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're going to be like this. We're going to be like the generation that talks about when they remember color TV coming in, and you know.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be like some old fogey stories that like the kids are gonna have no freaking clue. I do like those videos online where like they like give kids like, you know, Walkmans and stuff.
Right.
And like how do you
open it? How do you turn it on?
Kids are like completely baffled by it. Yeah. And like their advice always, like whenever the kids like look at old 80s technology, they're always like, oh, you should make this better. We're like, well, yeah, we did. Yeah, we got there.
My favorite one of those is the Walkman, and they're trying to figure it out. And they're like, oh, okay, a cassette tape. I've seen one of these. And then they pop it open and they put the cassette tape in and they figure it all out. And then they hit, okay, play. And then they're just sitting there with it.
Yeah.
And nothing's happening. And they go, where's the sound? And you forget. It wasn't until like years and years and years later, like 15 years ago, when you could actually play something without earbuds or headphones attached to it.
Yeah.
That thing didn't have a speaker on it.
I know. It like was like blowing their mind. And yeah, that's right. I remember like I had in high school that like clip that I put on like the sun visor to like store CDs in.
Yes.
And that was like a big thing that I got. Like I bought and had installed like a CD player in my 93 Taurus, right? Just so I could, you know, play some Offspring or something. And that was a big deal.
Yeah. I've still got somewhere around here like CD books with tons of burned CDs and that was my life for so long, just CDs. And
you're really into obviously music and everything. So that's kind of my memory of you. Like I was trying to think before this, like you know, what was my memory of Brad, you know? And I just remembered, music. And I think I did remember you from Japanese because I remember like one of the very only conversations that we really had with each other was in Japanese class once.
Okay.
And then again, like I don't know.
Do you know what it was about?
No, I can't remember the context at all. I'm sure it was something highly intellectual, but
no, that was my stuff.
And I'm sure it was in fluent Japanese as well. No, I don't remember what we talked about, but I think my impression was that I didn't agree with you, and then we just never really talked.
That's probably how it went with everybody.
Yeah. I don't really have any other memory beyond that. So again, like not
negative.
Yeah,
just
nothing.
But I probably said something that like. That's usually how it was. Like I get an argument, and like I said, I love to argue. And so I would, you know, stand, and I'm still like this. I'll say something and I'll fight it, and people will just like, fuck, I wish you would just shut the fuck up. I'm done talking about it. And I will just go. And you either say, you know what, I don't like the way that he came at me about that, or you know, and I'm a big boy, big girl. I can handle. Some people can handle the sparring and don't take it personal. Because I don't really take it personal. But back then, that I would draw a line in the sand heavy.
Yeah. Oh man. So you got the yearbook open. I see Eisen right there. And there's Ro. Ro and I used to hang out a lot because he was a little older. He could drive.
Yep. And back when he had that like the El Camino or something like that, he had with like the shell on the back.
Yes.
And
very dangerous.
Yes.
We used to sit in the back of that thing. Whoever was sitting in the back there was getting tossed around, and he would do donuts and stuff. And we had to have a good time. What did you and your friends do outside of like academic? What was like your like a Friday night for you? I mean, we would go to each other's houses, and it depended on, I guess, what period of time. Like I remember we had like a good neighborhood crew. Like it would be like me and Reesh, sometimes Keyshawn, and like Jenny McLaughlin, Derek Johnson, Ryan Smith. Do you remember him? Like
glasses, black hair with a part. It's so weird. I pulled that. I just pulled that out. But I do remember him.
So we'd go to each other's houses and maybe play video games, watch TV, whatever. And then pre-driving time, like Rishi and me and Jenny, we would walk to Center Square Shopping Center. It was the only thing you could walk to. And we would just, stick around there, like whatever a 14-year-old kid could do, you know, and just like mess around there. But then when we got older, we started going to like Plymouth Meeting Mall a lot and like just getting in trouble at the mall and just like, goofing around trying to meet girls or whatever. And then, starting to date and all that stuff, like, more seriously and go see girls. So
I feel like, I feel like were you in like a relationship in high school?
So I was, my girlfriend all throughout high school went to Upper Perk Yeoman.
Oh, that's not at all what I thought.
Yeah. So I didn't have a high school girl like in high school. She went to Upper Perk. And I met her, kind of bring some of our threads here together. I met her because I think like Rodrigo, like you remember like very early AOL Instant Messenger, like real early. In fact, my family computer couldn't even support it because I think it needed like Windows 95 and we had like Windows 3.1 or some garbage thing, right? So we ended up having to get like a new computer. But like before we did
stuff like that.
Yeah. God. But before we did, I would go to like Rishi's house or like Rodrigo's house and like they would talk to people on AOL Instant Messenger and I'd be like with them, like, oh, let's talk to this girl, you know? And so Ro was like talking to some girl. And then we like had like an early chat room type thing where it was like the four of us could all talk, like her friend and me. And then, so we all agreed to like meet and she was going to like a party at like a church or something. So me, Ro and Scott Beck drove up to this party. Upper Perk party. And that's where I met my eventual high school girlfriend.
Wow, that's so cool.
I know. And then and then we dated into college and then broke up in college. So,
Okay.
So it was a really long term. It was like 4-year relationship at least. Yeah.
That's not at all what I would have thought. I would have thought like I would have put you with, that girl or something and
I think you just pointed to Chris Gabbard and I would have hit that. So
shout out to Chris.
Yeah.
That's what I would have thought. And then like in my head, like I see you like with a group of like 5 other couples and but that wasn't it.
Sort of like my whole life I feel like I've very rarely been single. I'm just like always in a relationship and compared to like some of my friends like Rish, like who are never, and they I guess that's like a stereotype of me. I just
always in a relationship.
Always in a relationship. Like just girl going to the next one. And then I have like these long, like 4, 8, long-term stuff. Didn't really throughout my life do a ton of like, oh, I'm just going to go on 1 or 2 dates with her. It was always like, oh, that was
You're
great.
A committed guy.
Yeah. And then
that's a good quality to have.
Sometimes, every grass is always greener. So I think sometimes I see like, oh sure. Like it would be more fun to do it the other way, but I don't know. It wasn't my style. So.
As you heard on Eric's interview and something that's like a common theme for me, like you say grass is greener, like I look at like things like that, like you're on your way and I keep wondering when am I going to be on my way and still nowhere close. So
I dude, you never know. My wife, I like did like a 3-month trial like membership like Match.com and I went on a few dates, but like I was like, you know what, I'm doing fine on my own. I don't need this. Certainly don't want to pay for it. So I'm about to cancel it. And like as like the last day comes up, I just happen to see her on there and I sent her like this real like brazen message about like, we need to talk. Like you seem like really interesting. Blah, blah, blah. And whatever I said like caught her attention. And I just left my number or email in there or something. And then she contacted me. And so you never know. You never know. Cause that was the last day of it. So like if I didn't say that right there, by the next day my membership was canceled. So I couldn't like see her anymore or whatever on there. And, but now she's my wife. So you never know. I don't know.
I have everyone come on and they share stuff. And so whenever, there's an opportunity for me to interject something about myself, I feel like it's only right to like share something personal about myself. And so, but at the same time, I don't want the whole thing to be about me. So I try to interject at times, where I can put something in about myself personally.
I was hoping to learn about you in this too.
Yeah. You can full disclosure for you or for anyone else, you can always ask me any question at any point, anything I ask, it's absolutely fair for you to say, hey, how about you?
Right.
Or if you have just a question in general to just ask me, that's, absolutely fair.
Yeah.
But I think, one of my biggest problems with like relationships, is that I have a fear that if I'm in a relationship, I'm going to miss the opportunity to be in the right relationship.
In the right one or a
So when
better
you
one,
said
yeah.
like, you know, hey,
Yeah.
you never know, it might come along. That's my fear, is that I'm going to be in the wrong one when the right one comes along. And then what's my option to
Right.
then, you know, a little dishonestly approach and see what's going on, or,
yeah, like I think that's how you, but that, well, God, I don't know. You know, I don't think about love. Like, I don't really know. Like, I don't have anything sage to say. I think that maybe you know you're in the right relationship when you stop thinking that. And, you know, I definitely in past relationships did have that exact same fear, especially because I was always in these long-term relationships. I was always like, oh God, is this right? Like, is this right for my life? Like, I could be with maybe this other girl over here, you know, and I'd think about it a lot too. I really would. But now, oh my God, like I do not want to change a single thing like about my situation. And I think also having a kid really helps with that too. Like, because like I don't want to do a single thing that would like mess up this life that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Or it takes me away from her in any way. So yeah, I think maybe the answer maybe is you won't have that thought anymore.
Yeah.
You'll instead think, I'd better not screw this up.
Yeah.
And when you feel that way, maybe that's when you know.
I think now, like I'm pushed by the one of like, I don't know, I look at like having like getting married and having a kid as like the final nail, in a good way.
Yeah,
you know,
it is good.
It's hard to be single, and
Yeah.
you know, when I'm in relationships, I think, oh God, this is awesome to like be here with someone. I'm going home with someone.
Right.
I don't have to impress. I don't have to start up weird convo to get to know somebody.
Isn't it better to go to like a bar with somebody instead of, you know,
100%.
having to like find somebody there?
100%. And now, you know, I take parties and hangouts to the very end because I don't have shit else to do.
Right.
You know, if that's like the thing I'm doing for the day, we're going to the bar. I don't have a dog.
Right.
I don't, you know, that I have to come home and let out or feed. I don't have a girl that I have to come back to. I'm just out, and I can rock till 1 a.m. I can rock till 2 a.m. I can just do those things. But a lot of time, you know, once it's 2 a.m. and then you're just coming home and you're like, God, I wish I could like decompress this with someone.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
You know, the most, you know, holidays from now as I get older, I start to like, you know, at times feel that I'm doing the whole family thing. And then you come home on, you know, Christmas. It's going to sound so fucking sad, but you come home at like 11, especially for a Jew. We come home on a Christmas night. And you're just like, yeah, that's it. Like the holiday is literally over for me. Yeah. Because everyone that I was with, you know, now we've gone off for the night, and that's it. And you know, this is the weirdest thing, but when I went and saw Dave Chappelle, I went and saw Chappelle, and I've seen him twice, and I've seen Chris Rock, I think twice. But I saw them together last year when they were at Radio City Music Hall. It might have been the year before, but I get my summers condensed. But and I remember now the show was like, you know, pretty sold out. You get one ticket by yourself at that point by the time I got it. But you know, like you're seeing all these couples, and you're sitting here going, I'm sitting here about to watch Chappelle by myself, and there's zero people that I can like, hey, remember that joke or remember that. And you're just like, once that gets in your head, it kind of fucks with you a little bit. And you think like, I kind of need a partner for this.
Yeah. But then when you are in a relationship and you want to do something and then you can't because somebody else doesn't want to do it, then that will also affect you. You know, it's not, I didn't mean to paint like the rosiest picture ever.
No.
My wife would definitely agree.
Grass is always, you know, grass is greener.
She, you know, she wants to do things and has her own interests. And I sometimes, you know, spoil that for her and vice versa. So definitely it's compromise and sacrifice. So for sure, there are times when you're like, if she wasn't here, I could go do what I want right now. And that would be great. But in the long run, I think it's worth it to like have, you know, definitely a positive. You'll be okay, man. You're a good guy.
I'm gonna make it through.
I'm telling you, like, it really will just be like a thing you don't expect. That's where the best thing comes from. Especially if you're not trying in some particular moment, that's the best. But yeah, Linz and I, we're building a life here. She's good at like pushing me which is something I always need. Maybe we talked about
Mhm.
earlier in life. Like she's good at pushing me. She's like,
You respond well to that.
yeah,
You,
I feel
you
like I got to
measure
live up to that.
I want
So,
that.
yeah.
I think that's like a great thing to feel like you're not just doing it even for yourself.
Yeah.
It's great to feel like, oh, I'm achieving this and this is good. But even now today that, even with the podcast and I'm glad I'm doing it because it's been something that it's been in my head for so long. But the things that like I'm happy that my mom has something really good to brag about,
Right.
put, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so to extrapolate that down,
Of course,
I would love to have a lady to brag that
Right.
out, or
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if like I'd have a 11-month-old kid that could take this podcast to daycare and brag about it. But you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you hear about all the time with athletes and when they come back for one last season or whatever, because they want their kids to see them play,
Right.
or to perform or whatever like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in that boat where I'm still just doing things for me, and I'm getting a little bored with that.
Yeah.
And it just feeds into my selfishness, to be quite honest. When I just do things for myself, it's easier to just say, I don't want that. I don't need that. And
right.
So back to what you were saying, being pushed.
Yeah.
You've got people that want to see you.
Do this. Counting on me too.
Mm-hmm.
That drives me too. Like I keep a picture of Molly, my daughter, like right next to like on my desk right there. And there are a lot of times at work where I'm like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home, man. I don't care about this problem right now. This number on the spreadsheet. I don't care about that. I just want to go home. And then I look at her and I think, all right, like if I do a bad job here, that puts her in some kind of trouble or danger, and gotta stay, gotta work. You think it'd be the opposite. Like I want to go home to see her, but it really helps me. Like, no, focus, get back.
Especially when you know she's okay. That
she's with my wife.
Yeah.
We do like a thing right now where like my mom watches her for a day and my mother-in-law gets her for 2 days, which really helps with my wife is able to work then part-time, and they get to spend time with her, which is really awesome. I think, she's finally at an age where she's definitely starting to recognize people and like develop relationships with them individually. And so, like maybe like the grandfathers don't see her as much. So she's always a little bit like, who's this guy? At first, but the grandmoms see her all the time now. So she smiles and loves seeing them. It's kind of neat to see her understand and develop things. Yeah, dude, I love being a dad, man. I do.
Everyone I've talked to, when Mike talked about, he's got 2 kids,
yeah, he's got a couple,
as far as like an accomplishment for him, everyone, and sometimes I throw that out there, like, do you have like a biggest accomplishment or in life, personal and professional? I don't think there's anyone that doesn't say, my kids, my family.
It's the best thing I've ever had a part of, I think, for sure. And it's not like it's not all peaches and cream or whatever. Like it's hard, but even in the hard times, you're like, this is good. This is a good situation to be in. Yeah, that's a blowout diaper. That sucks, but it's like whatever. Like you just
in the scheme of things,
like it's fine. And like your level of like care, like you can't even believe how much you care about the most little minutia, but you care. You just care so much. And like I miss her. Rishi and Pat got to meet my Rishi already met my wife, but Rishi and Pat got to meet my daughter, which was pretty neat yesterday.
That's cool.
And it's like nice to say like this. Can you believe this?
Yeah. See, I think that's I think that the thing I'm missing is like that next jump in life where like, you can introduce, like I'm going to one of my best friends. I'm going to a 1-year-old birthday party for his 3rd son now. This afternoon, and so I'm the uncle.
Right.
But that's and I'm an only child.
Okay.
And so for me, that's really like my friends and their kids. That's like right now as close as I'm getting. To any type of like uncleage.
I think a lot of people like that because they can enjoy the kid at a fun time and give him back. Kid's crying here. You deal with it. And that's probably good, but I don't know. There's something. I hope for you, you just, be happy however you want to be happy. Like,
there's like, I had this conversation with someone earlier about relationships and the fact that I just kind of like, you kind of just do what you want. And it's like, that would really suck to have to give it up because as much as I want it. I think, grass is greener. I don't think
Right.
I'm all the way there.
Yeah.
And that probably prevents me a little bit.
Yeah.
I have still like this selfishness where it's like, I got to go to the Roots concert.
Right.
I gotta go take a road trip out to Denver at the drop of a hat, for 5 days, like I'm doing the end of next week. I got to party all night. I gotta, where's Brad? I don't know. I haven't seen him in a day.
Right.
I do those things sometimes. You can't do those things. I don't know if making that hard switch is like something I can do just yet.
So Pat and Reesh are both single guys, and they date, and I think Pat was in a long-term relationship he was telling us about, but he is a manager of a restaurant, and so like he works a lot of off hours, and he can't just be there to go out and do whatever a date or be there like at normal times, and that puts stress on relationships. And then Rishi is like travels like crazy for his work, so he's like barely ever at his apartment. So those guys, like, they're kind of where you're at. They're like, I want to do this more, I think, this lifestyle, and so that's what they're doing. And they're just either not ready or maybe just don't really want to get into the relationship stuff.
At the same time, I think if I had to, I would just stop, and I would embrace that new life, that new lifestyle as best I could.
Yeah, it's weird because like I think I made a comment to Cody because like he's pretty big on video games, and I think it was like 2 or 3 months into having the baby, and I said to him like, dude, I haven't played a video game yet, like since the baby. And he looked at me like I died or something. like he was like, oh, like I could tell he like felt like worried and upset for me, but also like probably thinking in his head like, yeah, check, not gonna have kids or whatever, like but it's not because like I can't play the video game. Right. I can. She goes to sleep, I guess, but like it's just because I'm doing other stuff that I am now enjoying more. The struggle, even the hard times, like video games have struggles and hard times. You don't go like, oh, I hate games that make me work. Right. So that's like the point. And so like, even during the hard times, it's like enjoyable, and it's a more fun activity in a sense. Like it's what I want to be doing more. Yeah. That's kind of how I view it. Like you can't say having a kid is like all fun. You could say it though. It's like, it's fulfilling and you really enjoy
learning and growing, adapting your own style and building a bond.
Yeah, it is building a bond a lot. There's a lot of times when like she doesn't, also it's fascinating. Like little babies, like they don't know anything, right? And I don't mean it like a joke, like she's stupid. Like they don't know about the world yet. They don't know about gravity. They don't know, they don't know about gravity. So like they'll just walk right off stuff. Like they'll just, right? Because they don't know, right? They're like, oh, if I can walk, I take a step. Why can't I keep taking a step? They don't know, like it's going to doom them, right? And so there's a lot of times when you're like, shit, like I have to catch this baby right now. I think she's going to walk off this couch or whatever she's going to do, and like, but you can then see them learning from their experiences, sometimes falling, like and figuring out. She is starting to walk. And so I've seen this like evolution in her with like learning to walk. It's unbelievable to see a little person who knows none of the rules of how things work, starting like a robot or something, like starting to test and figure things out. And she would push like this little cart, and she didn't understand like the concepts yet of like turning, or like if you hit an object, you can't keep going forward. So she'd go and she'd hit an object and she'd cry because she can't go forward. Stuck. And you have to like see her on her own learn, oh, if I back up, if I turn, now I can get around it, and like these little lessons like that are blowing my mind.
That's cool.
Like seeing her brain pick up on skills and tasks and things like that. It's unreal. So that's the stuff I like the best right now.
That's the stuff I watch on like Facebook videos, and I go, "Oh, that's cool." I want to.
I
just sit there with a big. But you know what? Like 4 years ago, I didn't give a shit about anything like that, and it's really. I think I've softened overall about family and stuff like that over the past like 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. I think about a lot of my views that I had before, and then like because when like you're a young single guy, you're just thinking about like your own situation, and like if a kid's crying or something, that's like, whoa, man, I hate that. Ugh. And now it's like, oh my gosh, like it's a hard situation,
Mhm.
and I'm trying the best I can, and like, and it would be nice if other people are understanding, but yeah, everyone's in like their own world. Um, but yeah, I will tell you though that I'm in my second marriage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so just thinking about like love and life and like, dude, you might not get it right the first time.
Right.
Right. And so yeah, my first wife, we were in a relationship for 8 years.
Wow.
We were married for a little less than 2.
Wow.
And so it's unbelievable.
What's the gap in time from like between?
Was it like 2005 maybe is when we started dating, and then 8 years, so it's 2013, something like that,
Wow.
right? If I'm doing the math correct there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big chunk of my life.
It's a long time to date and then get married and then figure out it doesn't
work.
Doesn't work. It felt good in the dating, and the marriage was just different, or
there was some precipitating factors, and I don't want to embarrass her.
No,
if she
yeah,
listens
yeah,
to this,
absolutely.
but I will say, like, unfortunately, like, she did develop like a bit of an opioid addiction. And again, something like you think your partner, especially someone you've lived with for a really long time, and then you find out like, well, actually, they're not doing so good, and they're not telling you things. And don't have to get into any specific incidences, but just it's developed, it's addiction.
Yep.
So there's a lot of lying, a lot of financial problems start to happen, and you lose the trust in the relationship. And yeah, after 8 years, unfortunately, it all fell apart.
Wow.
And so maybe that goes to your point again about like thinking about other things. Yeah, like, look what happened after that though. Like, I ended up meeting Lindsay, and now I have this baby and one wonderful life right now.
And you probably grew just, I mean, when you're going through tough things, I can imagine you have to learn to adapt and deal with things and reallocate in your mind how you handle stuff, and
well,
it only helps you be stronger in the future.
But it leaves like scar tissue.
Sure.
It like, you're less trusting, right? You're less trusting. That's an unfortunate thing. Like, even like, I was burned by my wife. So if you can't trust her, right? So I think there's some sad changes where like, yeah, I'm a less trusting person now. And I was very naive before about the world, and like, the world of drugs also. And like, oh my God, I didn't know anything.
Yeah. So like for me, that was, such a not until college did I, ever start to dabble in drinking or smoking or anything like that. Same for you, or?
Yeah, well,
so
definitely hard drugs, never.
Yeah.
But, when we were in high school, we would like get beers and whatever.
Yeah, I think that was always like, so I always felt like you were in like in a very studious group.
We were, but trust me.
The stereotype with the smart kids, quote unquote, was that, and you see it still today, like on TV, Law and Order SVU episodes or whatever. It's like, oh no, these kids are all straight A's. And then one kid comes running out and he's like, Officer Stabler, I have to tell you, Becca's hardcore.
Right.
You just go like, wait, what? He's like, oh yeah, she drinks all the time.
Right,
and so that's why I imagine like you guys are like letting off steam of debate and fractions and AP classes and just like,
it was the fractions that really used to kill us. I really hated the fractions.
Minimize that down to just
fractions are why I drink. I really got into cocaine once the fractions hit. But dude, I think that like in no way, like, yes, there is the peers driving you to succeed, but also we're still kids. Like, we're still like, beer, oh man, and
where did that come from? Like,
Pat Novak. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like we would, you have like, somebody has like an older sibling or something.
Yeah, is it like an older sibling thing, and you're just like, oh, we'll do this.
Yeah, it was like, dude, we used to drink better in high school than like in college, because in high school we would have somebody buy us like Yinglings or whatever, and then we go to college and it was like Keystone Light, or
whatever you can afford, because you have to actually,
exactly. And
you're doing it every week.
Right. Yeah.
Every couple
You're doing
days.
a lot more. Yeah.
Every couple days.
So yeah, but like, I don't think we were all that like good or innocent. Yes, we did our homework, I guess, but then yeah, we definitely would want to pull pranks on people and do all kinds of ridiculous crap and just mess around. Yeah. Pat worked at a country club. I guess I won't name it, but we would go over there in the middle of the night and we would like get on the golf carts and just like race them around all the time. Fun. Yeah, sometimes people get hurt. Like we would go nuts with those things, and yeah, definitely not legal.
Yeah, that's like around like the Jackass era.
Yeah, well, yeah, we had our own version of that, some of that stuff, and some of the pranks we pull. And I again don't want to say all the stuff we did, but we did definitely teenage dumb stuff, left and right. I will say we used to steal a lot of street signs.
Oh,
and we were like really into that for a while. We thought that was so funny.
Street signs,
and like we'd get like a stop sign or whatever.
Yeah, just like in the neighborhood and just take them off the.
Yeah, we drive to somebody else's neighborhood and then do that. But you know, we're like really mature. Like you know, it would be like a 3-way stop, so we'd steal the 3-way part of the sign, and then so we had them all, and I think we like hid them all under like Rishi's parents' deck. Like underneath it.
Yeah.
And then they sold the house. So like I guess the new owners maybe one day just found like this stash. Signs. Yeah. Just like of all these random street signs was yielded. I don't know. I didn't all this so random good. Crap under there. Yeah. That was one of the I'll say tamer things we did. Yeah. We really were just the same as anybody else, like trying to have fun and, you know, mess around.
I want to ask your perspective on because I don't know if this, I don't think this pertained to you specifically, but I feel like it touched some of your group of friends. We were in school when Columbine happened.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Big thing with Columbine, and we're starting to see it. It's funny. Everyone jokes or comments on it now, but the arguments are cyclical about gun violence when it comes to especially kids. And just now it's started to come back around to, what were they listening to? What kind of music were they listening to? What kind of movies were they watching? And when we were in school, and it was pretty new, I think maybe prior to that, there had been one other big one, but this one was so massive and on television with Columbine. The trench coats.
Yeah.
Trench coat, quote unquote, trench coat mafia.
Yep.
Kids listening to Rammstein. Or is it Rammstein?
Rammstein.
Rammstein. I got it right.
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails.
Right.
Marilyn Manson
and all that. Yeah.
And you know, when I think of like Rishi and Dave Majumdar, and you didn't mention Joe Conlon as like a guy who hung out, but when I look at like that group and I look at those guys all wore trench coats.
That's
and I remember very clearly it was like a thing of, look at those guys. Those are the trench coat mafia kids. What was
like,
that?
Vince Sidati.
Yep.
Vince was also one of our friends from debate, you know, even though he was great above us. Vince and John.
Yeah, had Japanese with him.
Yeah, right. We had Japanese and debate. So I really like those guys. But
I don't remember you ever wearing a trench coat.
No. So I was like, I think about it now, and I think I was like a little bit weird in a sense of not wearing that. Like I would hang out with all these guys that listened to certain music and wore certain things. And then I'd be still like listening to like, I don't know, Green Day and like like wearing whatever Kohl's sweater my mom bought me or whatever, you know, and like, and jeans, and not in any way trying to fit in clothing wise with them. I did try to be like a little bit fluid with like, I can hang out with this group and that group, whatever. So I never wanted to like go all in. Oh yeah, I'm going to wear black nail polish and trench coat. Cause you know, later I'd be playing basketball with somebody or whatever. Like I wanted to be, you know, my own thing.
Yeah.
But definitely was there and like hang out, especially like in the mornings. I think like we'd congregate in the mornings, like in like D Hall or something, right?
D Hall, K Hall. People love hearing the hall shout outs.
Right. So like we would go like, I forget, like outside the auditorium area, and we just like throw all our bags down.
Auditorium or Audion?
Oh, maybe the Audion.
Yeah,
the Audion. Yeah,
by that side entrance. The Audion.
That's right. Yeah. So we'd all like throw our bags down along the wall there, and then just like, you know, chill every morning. And yeah, it'd be like 6 kids with trench coats on and me. But I remember it was a big deal when I forget which administrator, but somebody came over and asked them please stop wearing. I think like Tristan Konechki and like some of those guys, like stop wearing.
So students.
Yeah, telling students, please stop wearing the trench coats, like out of respect for what just happened.
Teachers were telling students, or students were telling students. Yeah,
were telling students, don't wear your trench coat. And I guess the thinking was like, it's scary right now to see people in trench coats or whatever. And I think it really offended the kids that were asked, because like, what? I'm not going to go kill everybody just because I'm wearing this coat. You know what I mean? This is just my look or whatever. This is what my friends dress like. So I remember it was a big deal, but I was next to the people being affected. I wasn't personally. I was still wearing my cold sweater. So.
But it's like, I don't know. Did you have like a feeling either way? It's, these are your friends, and just, do you remember anything about like that hype of the trench coats in general? And like, shit, these are my friends that are doing it. I don't know if that was my friends. I guess I would maybe wonder, or I don't know. Was that anything like that you felt like personally just like concerned or wondering, or because we didn't know anything about it? And did you feel like
I don't remember worrying.
Did you feel secure, like that's totally
think,
just a weird label and that's just a coincidence?
Yeah, like the trench coat mafia, like
yeah, like
whatever.
Oh, my friends wear trench coats, like those guys all wear trench coats and wear black nail polish and listen to Marilyn Manson and Rammstein and check and not violent, but
it's different when you see it from a different perspective. You could see it from like, I could definitely tell now, especially like as a parent, like, oh, here's some characteristics, but I'm removed from that. So that I'm just going to take the news's word for it that that's bad. Whereas like if I'm going to school and hanging out every day and going to people's houses every day, and then like this whole thing's being built up that lifestyle is somehow bad, but like I'm just in this dude's house in Bluebell playing like, StarCraft or whatever. Like we're not like he's not talking about killing everybody, It was like different for me because I didn't feel like they were a threat. They were not my friends.
Yeah.
And so I felt bad for them. I felt bad for pretty much everybody.
Sure.
And especially the kids that were scared and the kids that went through Columbine. But I didn't appreciate that my friends were being labeled in any kind of way just because they wore, a trench coat.
Yeah.
It was just didn't make any sense to me.
It was so new, the whole situation. And then, looking for someone to blame and
always everybody's looking for somebody to blame.
I couldn't believe it when I heard it because that was, growing up listening to Eminem and those were like lyrics and talking about Marilyn Manson and who to blame and I couldn't believe that it's starting to come back again. Like it's really started to really make that complete turn in modern day. And that's where we started when we were kids.
People will blame anyone but the gun, man.
Yeah.
It's not the gun. It's the clothes. It's not the gun. It's the music.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck everyone's talking about. Yeah. It's the gun.
Yeah. It's the
right. It's the fucking gun. Like you can't shoot people. You don't have a gun. And it doesn't matter how much black nail polish you have on. You can't shoot them if you don't have your gun.
Right.
And it's the guns. And so they'll, whatever it is, it'll come back. Anything that can be blamed.
Yeah.
Other than the gun will get blamed.
Yeah.
So it's other kids' faults or, it's this culture of the bullying, whatever.
Yeah.
Show me a statistical study, fact check scientific method that showed a certain music or an album. Oh, this album led to 40% increase in shootings.
Right.
You can't do it because that doesn't exist. Right. But it'll be put out there anyway by the people who don't want to accept that it's the gun. So they just make up whatever and they put that shit out there. And then the study that actually shows it's the gun. Fake news. Yeah. Fake news. Yeah.
No one wants to see that.
Right. Yeah.
Were you bullied at all?
No, I had maybe individual, like a bullying incident, but I never had the guy that like rode me all the time or bullied me in any way. I was very fortunate with that. I think, I got along with a lot of groups. So I didn't really have to deal with like one person all the time, but there'd be like little incidents. I remember, I can't remember who the kid was at this point, but some jerk, he stole my glasses because I used to wear glasses. So he stole my glasses in gym and I had to go chase him around the freaking locker room and like try to fight for my glasses back. That sucked. Like little pranks like that.
Yeah.
But nothing, fortunately not like an everyday thing that would wear me down or my, wear down my soul, kind of thing.
You never like didn't want to go to school or.
Well, I mean, my natural not wanting to go to school,
Right,
but
because you
not,
just want to see, but not
yeah,
like
I wasn't
angst or
I wasn't
anything
afraid I would
about-
get beat up or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to not really have that situation. I know other kids did for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, I think about like, didn't like JP and RJ, man, those guys got picked on a lot.
Well, the first fight I was ever in was with RJ.
Really?
Yeah, in seventh grade, I beat him up in the bathroom.
Ugh.
And I don't care. I'll say it. That was a racial thing.
Oh, he said something.
Yeah, he said something.
Oh, no.
Me being biracial, and so it was like a.
How dare you?
Yeah, it was like we set it up to fight. I remember,
Right.
man, it's a big thing, and yeah, RJ was like a skinny, tall kid,
Right.
So fit the prototype. And when
Yeah.
I think back to like guys like that, like Drew Leinbach.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
myself. Drew never did anything to me, but
Yeah. He was a nice guy.
I didn't treat
Yeah.
him. I didn't treat him well, and I was definitely one that I think I felt bullied.
Yeah.
Whether I was or wasn't, or sometimes I think I caused a lot of it on myself. I was just
So
confrontational.
you think it was personality, not necessarily like racial stuff or whatever?
Yeah. My general problems weren't, I don't think were racial. I used to get really bullied by a couple guys. But then I would just have like regular fights with people. And I think I would always look for the opportunity for, the easy target of, well, now I'm going to give it to someone else.
Yeah.
And so I think like a Drew Leinbach, and in high school, I never really dealt with RJ much, but I could see like making fun of him, or, like even with Mike Clyburn, talking about our issues, like with Japanese, and me making fun of him with the Mike Cocoon.
Mike Cocoon.
I mean,
Yeah.
right? Mike Cocoon.
Yeah.
Doing that, that was probably my way of trying to ease the angst I felt of people making fun of me, and now I'm going to make fun of someone else.
Right.
Yeah, that was definitely going around. I wasn't immune to, dishing it out also.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I definitely, there was definitely like incidents, and sometimes it would happen to my friends. Like, I was friends with Keyshawn.
Mm-hmm.
That kid really had it tough. He got bullied a lot, and Rishi a little bit too. I think with like being Indian, but
yeah. I wasn't like great to Rishi, Dave Majumdar.
Yeah. Well, Dave, that's okay that you were mean to him, but no, I'm just kidding. But no, like I think, maybe just like the shit rolls downhill, right? Is that what you're thinking? Like,
I think in learned behavior,
right.
Someone makes you feel less than, and so as a kid, rather than and I can't remember who it was, but in talking about some stuff and saying like, well, they were talking about their problems. They said, do you think did you ever have that conversation with someone and say, hey, this really hurt me? And they say, no, I didn't have it. And I never had those conversations with those people who I felt were bullying me. I would just go home and internalize it.
Yeah.
But I think in learning that, like, oh, okay, if I say this type of thing, that's going to hurt them. If I make fun of their appearance, that's going to hurt them. If I ask them about their parents, and I know there's something up there, that's going to hurt them. Or if I just do this little thing or that little thing, that's going to get them. And so I think in response to make myself feel better, I would do those things, not internalizing properly what those things did to me when people did them to me, and then not ever thinking what it was like when I did it to them.
Dude, I was so bad at like any kind of comeback that I would never even like attempt or like learn like from my mistake. Like I think one time, I won't name his name, but this guy, we were playing football, and he started like bullying me, like picking on me a little bit there. And I thought like, God, so naive, but I thought like, what's something I could say that like would really devastate him? And I thought like, oh, like if his grandmom's dead, like he'd be really upset about that. So I was like, yeah, well, at least my grandmom's still alive. And he goes, so is mine. What are you talking about? And I was like, all right, misfire. Like, I'll never have a comeback again for the next 20 years, right? And so
Take two, the jerk store call.
Yeah, the jerk store call. They're running out of you. And so like I was so bad at that. But I guess, I think like, people, maybe little incidents, but I think fortunately nobody had it out for me. And so I never even had to like comprehend dishing it back or doing anything like that. I don't know, maybe somebody's listening right now. They'll be like, what? You were such an asshole to me, but I don't think so.
If that kid remembers taking Ryan's glasses, I want you to speak up.
Yeah, please report to Brad.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Somebody, the closest thing I came to any kind of specific like bullying and fight type stuff was in middle school. I was sitting at the end of you remember like how the middle school cafeteria was like with the long tables?
Yep. In that the LG room.
Yeah. And like, cause
was at the end of it with the stairs, the rug stairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the dividers.
So it was very long tables and it was made of kind of multiple long tables. Mm-hmm. Right. And one table. So just at the table I was sitting at one end and, somebody from the other, I was sitting with Pat Emery. Somebody from the other end threw a fucking big pint thing of yogurt, and I wasn't looking at all. So this thing, I thought I was getting punched. I thought out of the blue I was getting sucker punched because it just hit me in the face, you know. And in that instant, the first instant that I saw that it was this yogurt and that it had come from somewhere to my left, I didn't think. I just raged. I just picked it up. And I just fucking threw it back. Mm-hmm. And that was a mistake. And the tables were of different heights, just slightly. So this yogurt happens to hit right where the table height is different. Mm-hmm. The second table, the further away table is higher. So because the yogurt hits right at that exact spot, it fucking explodes. It exploded the yogurt cup. And I did that. And it covered everybody at the other end of the table. Totally innocent kids. I think Aram Lee got it the worst. He just looked at me like he was so shocked. He was just covered in like, you know, the yogurt, like white yogurt. And oh boy, yeah. So I got in-school suspension for a week for that.
You got ISS?
Yeah, I did. I got ISS for that. And then while I was in there, this guy who we were going to school with, you would know him if I said his name, but he started like picking on me in ISS. And because in ISS, you just have to kill time. Mm-hmm. So I'd like get like a book.
ISS, for people that don't know, is in school suspension. It was a room that you would just report to in the back of the school. It wasn't even near anything. Like, I think it
wasn't.
I think like,
wasn't there like a music or media lab or something?
Yeah. Like there? Music was down there and like home ec was down there, like the unified arts would be down there, but there was nothing else really down there. It was just a back entrance to the school. And that's where they just had this room and you just sat there all day with the other quote unquote bad kids. Right. And your teachers would drop off work that you would have to do. Yep. And most of the time though, you're just like sitting there for 8 hours and you eat lunch in there, you go get your lunch, you come, you sit back down and you just, it was weird.
I think it was like a way of like boring you to death.
Yeah.
You just had to sit there all day. You'd never think a kid in school would want to go to class, but you do when you're forced to sit in a room all day.
And you can't talk.
Talk to anybody. Yeah. So, you know, and not a lot of Majumdars in that room, right? Like Dave wasn't there. Rishi wasn't there. Cody wasn't there. So it was kids I wasn't friends with. And the one kid was like, basically started throwing French fries at me. And I don't know what got into me, but I was like, I'm not taking this shit. So I threw him back at him and then just like the yogurt. And then he threw them like real hard in my face. And I pushed him like right in his face. Like we were going to throw down.
Yeah.
And then the teacher or the administrator, whoever, I don't even know who it was, whoever was supposed to be watching the room.
I think back then it was like a Mr. Jalboot.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Whoever he was my hero. Because he grabs this other kid and says, you know, you started this. I saw you throwing your stuff on him.
Yes.
And I saw him just defending himself.
Yeah.
And so that incident actually got me out of ISS.
Wow.
So I got done ISS early I only had to do like 3 of the 5 days or whatever, because they were like, yo, this kid like attacked him in there. So like, let's just send him back to the regular.
Belong here.
Yeah, he doesn't belong here. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then people were worried like that kid was going to fight me after, but it never ended up being a thing. Man, it was all over after that.
I lived in paranoia about like after class interaction or class interactions that would lead to like a post class fight. I would like live in just paranoia about shit like that, but I couldn't stop inviting it.
Yeah.
Like if I were to just say something smart ass comment and someone goes, "Shut up, Corbett."
Right.
And I would go, "Hey, fuck you."
Yeah.
I'll fuck you up after class, because I wanted everyone to feel like I'm tough and I'm letting everybody know. It's like the lion pounding his chest. And then and then I would just live in fear that, fuck, I might have to see this guy after class or after school. This guy might come looking for some of this work, and I'm not really prepared.
Right. Hit the gym first.
I can do like I'm good for like one quick punch, and then after that it's free reign. Whatever you want to do to me, you got.
Yeah. I think that was some people's technique, is they would just be like, if I get my one punch in and then I can back away. That was like I feel like that was a predominant fighting method.
Oh yeah. I would have
high school.
The punch and then the run would have been like Mike, but you can't run. You got to just stand there.
But like you could kind of like back away and just hope till the fight gets broken up.
Yeah.
As long as you got your one in there. But then some of the fights would be like in the bathrooms, right? So like you couldn't go anywhere.
I remember my fight with RJ, and I hit him in the side of the head.
Ugh.
And I felt like his eardrum popped or something.
Oh
like I could hear like a pop, and I got scared again. I wasn't a fighter. I was just more so trying to, this guy was talking about me. So then I invite the fight, and now here we are fighting. And I think I just like popped this guy's ear. And now I'm just like, all right, he's done. He's had enough. You're good, man. You're done. Like you're just thinking like, please don't come back at me. Please be done. Please don't come back at me. And I used to think that with like every fight that would be in.
Yeah. Wow, man. I remember the only fight, the closest thing to an actual fight, it was not a fight at all, but Vern Cheatham and I got in a fight, and I'm using air quotes here, and I'm going to say maybe third grade.
Okay.
Vern was always bigger than me then, even. But the one thing that made it so ridiculous is that we both had our starter jackets on. Okay. So just picture the pullover starter jacket, right? Do I need to say any more? How do you have a fight in that?
So
right.
Great.
So guess what we were doing to each other? Either sliding right off, like our punches sliding right off, or we were just pulling them over each other's heads because it was just pullovers. Yeah. So the fight evolved into just two guys pulling each other's starter jackets over their heads, and then getting tired of that, and just that was the end of the fight. Like we just got bored of the fight and just we're like done with it forever.
It feels like a lot of static electricity.
Yeah. We powered the school that day. Yeah.
All right. This is a really fun conversation that I'm having with Ryan, and it's going to continue on. I think what I like most about it is that it's got a lot of different tones to it. Some seriousness, some lighthearted moments. And so it's, I don't know, I just keep using the term well-rounded. Probably overusing it at this point, but that's really what it is. And like I said, part 2 is going to continue on in the same way. We will talk about, Ryan's career as a lawyer, the moment that he actually changed the type of law that he's doing. I'll talk a little bit about my quote unquote career with World Wrestling Entertainment, and I'll detail the moment that I got fired from my dream job, I guess, if you want to call it that. I guess I would have then too. Ryan will talk a little bit more about his daughter. You'll hear about her first flight. Ryan will talk a little bit about tennis and the difference in sports with the attention that football gets versus, what the tennis team got. I'll give you a little hint. Zero attention for the tennis team. And Ryan is also going to be very, very open and honest about some of what he was going through with his divorce some years back. And speaking of honest, we hit on a lot of topics in this first part of the episode, things like bullying and gun control and, Columbine, things that are very sensitive topics, pretty serious issues to people, some polarizing issues, I guess would truly be the term to use. And like I said in the very first episode, I just hope that you guys allow us the space to have an open and honest conversation. I try to respect everybody's point of view, and whether I agree with my guest or disagree, I try to not make that the point of the conversation. And I hope that in any conversations that you guys have publicly with the guests or on Facebook or whatever it is, that you kind of keep that in mind and listen to points of view rather than judging people. So just want to put that out there because, we did hit on some hot stuff in this first part. So that's all coming out on Wednesday, Christmas Day. We Weren't Friends in High School on Instagram, WWF in High School on Twitter. I'm at REDSHIRTPLAYA everywhere. The podcast is available for subscription, comments, ratings, whatever you got to do for podcasts, you can do that on iTunes, on Google Play, on Spotify, whatever you got to do to find us, do it. And finally, I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season. No matter what you celebrate, I can't list them all because I would probably forget one. But I truly, truly, truly hope that everyone within the sound of my voice enjoys their days off, their time with their family, whatever it is that you get to enjoy at this time. If it's just quiet, I hope you enjoy that. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday on Christmas morning with part 2 of Ryan Dunn. Happy Hanukkah.